The number of foreigners who come to Lviv and stay here for a long time or even forever is increasing every year. Each person comes here for a different reason. Among them, there are business affairs and family reasons. Lviv is becoming more and more interesting for investments. Lviv is a place for international conferences and international meetings are held here. The city attracts tourists with its festivals and architecture. However, it's still interesting why foreigners are coming to Ukraine, what's the reason to come here. And let's discuss this issue with our guest. His name is Mr. Leon, who came here and is residing here more than 1 year. Hello, Leon. Nice to meet you in my office. So we are going, we are going to speak about your experience in Ukraine. So it's a basic question to every expat in Ukraine. What made you to to enter Ukraine? What made you to relocate to Ukraine? Because as far as I know, you've been residing in Mexico, then in the United States. So why Ukraine?
Several reasons. Basically, when I was traveling, when I finished university, I visited Prague, Czech Republic at that moment. And I saw how dynamic, how it was growing, how it was coming out of the USSR era, and everything was moving forward very fast, and beautiful city that never been known to anybody in the Western world until that time, late 90s, early 2000s. So it was that transition era of everything being just crazy to starting to actually be businesses. And that's one of the things I see in Ukraine. So I see a lot of potential in this country.
It's namely in Prague, yeah?
Yeah, like Prague. So like Lviv, Kyiv, there's a couple marquee cities here in Ukraine that have the same feel, the same vibe, the same energy of everything moving forward and coming out of the cloak of what was Russia and the USSR and actually coming out into the Western society. So the Western world is still barely catching up to here, and this is a country that has a lot of really smart people, very hardworking, and it's being able to bridge the gap between what I know from my experience in North America to Ukraine, and bridging that and making a full business forward.
Yeah, if you're speaking about the differences, cultural, like business differences between, we are speaking now about 3 countries, because you have experience in Mexico, you have experience in the United States, you have experience in Ukraine, because you've been residing here for more than 1 year. Yes. So comparing all these countries, like are Ukraine similar? Is Ukraine similar to Mexico or more similar to the United States? Like, what are the culture difference? What are the business difference? If compare the life here and there.
Okay, so culturally it's very different from the United States, and that's because it's not so much of a, in the US it's not so much of a Catholic religious country. So Mexico is much more similar to Ukraine than the US.
Yeah, I remember you showed me the picture of a Catholic priest who is making,
yeah, exactly.
who is making the blessing the office. Yeah. So yeah, it's so strange for so strange for United States citizens, and it's normal for Mexico and Ukraine.
Super normal for Mexico.
Yeah, so maybe
your office, your home,
your home, your car. Yeah.
So there's a lot of similarities in Mexico with Ukraine. So there's Latin roots there. There's a lot of very similar mentalities in work. Although Mexico does have the influence, Mexico has one great thing, and it's the neighbor to one of the big, the strongest, most powerful country in the world. Yeah. So we get a lot of influence from them.
And still, it's good influence.
So Mexico does 2 things very good too. So they take the influence and they make it their own. But sometimes they don't grab the best things, but normally they do. So in business-wise, it's very much more. It's much more progressed in Mexico. It's a lot more like U.S. in business. But certain things like you're saying, the priest, blessing the office, the house, everything. That's much more like the people. How the people are very similar to Mexico and Ukraine. They're very different in the US, like you would never know who your neighbor is because you don't talk to your neighbor. In Mexico, you talk to all your neighbors.
I think Ukraine is more to United States. Like a lot of people a lot of people don't know their neighbors.
Okay, so there's a couple different,
Depends on neighborhood, but I think it's not so friendly as it could be considered on the first glance. So also, I remember another cultural story which you told me, that when we were sitting in the restaurant, and you told me that in the United States all the people start eating at the dinner all together. In the Ukraine it's not so popular because the restaurant is delivering dishes in different times. So maybe is it true? What about Mexico and maybe other stuff? Cultural.
Yeah, the things of the food here is very different. Also, the incentive-based market is not here. So in the U.S. and Mexico, it's a big incentive to tip.
So like giving
So you're obliged to give tips in other.
But that makes it work harder, the people to work harder, so they bring you the food on time and everything. And here it takes hours sometimes to get service done here. But you know, that's.
But if you pay $3 per service or $30, it's
exactly.
little difference.
A little subtle difference of that. But what I see here is it's all moving forward, so it's going to catch up to the world, because everything is now interconnected so much by social media and internet, and just communication now is just so fast. So everything is very much everything is like connected now. So what you see over there is very, very, very much coming here, and you see that with the younger generations. Like everybody has smartphones, everybody can see everything. So the generations like 20 years from now have changed a lot. So they move forward much faster than what we did before.
So let's speak about your business experience. So as far as I know, you have a business in Mexico, maybe in the US, so may you tell us about
So basically in Mexico I have a couple businesses, which one of the things that I wanted to do was bring that here. So we do a couple of outsourcing stuff in Mexico too, real estate things. I'm a general entrepreneur, so I've done many businesses. My last business was an application for the ride-sharing businesses, that you could actually do a prepaid system where you don't need a credit card or a bank card to be able to use these services, which you obligated to do. So I did that in 2015, and I sold it in 2016, and ended the transition in late 2016. And then I came in the first time here summer of last year, 2017. So basically, I sold that business and came here to start seeing what we could do. So I've been here now a little bit over a year now.
So if you compare your first imagination 1 year ago and now, so what the most top businesses to invest in Ukraine? Because if you sold out your business in Mexico, it means that you are going to invest here in Ukraine. So what are the and how did your experience change from the moment of 1 year ago and now? So what are the changes? So first impression, and what do you feel now?
Well, first impression was everything's moving forward. In Ukraine, like there's a lot of energy. A lot of people want to do a lot of business, but sometimes they don't know how to talk to North America. So basically, and you have to do an investigation. You just can't come into a country and go, oh, I know what to do the first month, because you have no idea how the people act, how the people work.
So to investors, you recommend first of all to have a check and
basically you have to understand, if you're a general entrepreneur and you don't have a set business and you want to see what you can do, is you need to investigate. You need to live in the country. You need to understand the country, the culture, to be actually do something.
How long the investor should stay in the country to understand?
I'm still learning, and I've been here a year, so it's not enough. But what I understand that you can do here in Ukraine is Ukraine has very talented people, hardworking people. So bridging the gap between trying to be able to sell those services to wherever you're from, that's one big opportunity. So obviously in IT outsourcing and business process management outsourcing, that's one of the biggest things that Ukraine has. So top 3 IT outsourcing countries in the world is the US, number 1, number 2 India, and number 3 Ukraine.
And China, where is China?
No, China's like 4 or 5, 4 or 5, 6 maybe. The thing is, they don't have that, they do have smart people, but they don't have that many people doing the IT sector. So those things are very different. And basically, buying low and selling high. So Ukraine has a lot of natural resources, a lot of products that you can buy at very good prices here and sell in whatever country you're from. So they have a lot of agricultural products here. They have a lot of handmade products here that you can sell to North America or wherever you're from.
So finally, resuming your business experience, so you've been done, let's say, like IT business, yeah? IT.
Yes, outsourcing services, services, digital and IT services, basically, yeah.
What are you going to invest here in Ukraine?
Well, the first things we're investing is in real estate. Real estate is something I know and I do I know very well.
What was the most safe investment?
Yeah, it's a great investment. Everybody wants to be in real estate, so we know everything here is moving towards moving forward. Still a lot of problems with the real estate sector, but it's changing. So we've seen a lot of changes from 1 year to now, all positive.
Bureaucracy changes.
Bureaucracy is changing for the positive. Certain things, especially in this city, that the mayor and the deputy mayor and all his team are doing very well. So there's a lot of positive things moving forward in real estate, and a lot of countries are looking to invest in emerging markets, but don't know how and don't have people here. So real estate is a big opportunity here for Ukraine to pull investment from North America.
A lot of foreigners are afraid of investing of real estate into Ukraine because of different reasons. First reason is military situation on the east. The second reason is cheaters, because one of my clients told me that he has that experience in other countries, okay, I will not say like countries, but other countries, but he supposed the same situation in Ukraine. And so first question, do you feel, have you ever experienced of frauds in Ukraine? So did you, not speaking only about investment into real estate, but speaking about any kind of frauds, kind of frauds. So can you share that experience and make some recommendations about that and about that, and maybe others threats which you feel before entering Ukraine, and then you can say that it's not a real threat.
Well, yeah, okay. So first thing, military threat. That's actually a big lie. There is problems, in the east. Yes, Russia it's interest to actually maintain Ukraine very turbulent for them for their own reason, because and place also Russia is finishing from the old guard. So the last KGB guy, blah blah blah, is the president right now. So that's like the last old guard of what they were. And I think the new, if anybody comes in new that isn't from him, will be totally different, I think, because just Russia has changed. I mean, there's no reason why Russia should be, the enemy of the world, and he still wants to be the enemy of the world, and that's just because he makes personal gain of that. That's the one reason. But everybody else doesn't. So that's one reason. And it's not true there are tanks on the street. That's 3%. So the U.S. State Department says there's only 3% that is actually in Ukraine that is in problems. So that's very little. I mean, that's like saying, don't go to Florida because there's riots in Los Angeles. That's crazy. The country's so big. It's one of the biggest countries in Europe. So it's just, to think that way is just politics and media, which isn't true. The other thing is I did get money stolen from a person, but that happens everywhere. I mean, there's just for services. Yeah, we paid for services that they didn't do, and they just took the money and ran. Some technology services that we wanted to get. And we paid, and we also invested in a digital marketing company that didn't do the work that they were going to say.
Did you lose a lot for that technology services and that investments? How much?
Well, a lot is relative to whatever it is. Yeah, it's just the job. Yeah, but it's subjective. But the thing is, you're always going to have problems in business. You're always going to get. I mean, you can get ripped off anywhere in the world.
But is it possible to be in the same situation in the United States?
Yeah, you're going to get ripped off in the United States. You're going to get ripped off in Mexico.
Can you pay for the services and not delivered services?
Well, the thing is, those countries are much more advanced in legal issues. So one recommendation is get a good lawyer that can help you do the due diligence of that. And even with that, you're always going to have some issue. I mean,
It could be economic, like objective reasons. Or
there's so many reasons that things could go wrong. I mean, but business is business. So risk versus reward. You're in an emerging market. There's going to be more risk than in and if you're in England, the risk goes down.
you are comparing the risks of to be like cheated in the United States, in Mexico, in Ukraine. So what do you think?
Well, I think it's higher to be cheated in the U.S. actually.
In the US, higher, yeah?
Because there's much more people, much more. Well, no, there's smarter people here, but I think there's just a lot more people that want to. Sophisticated cheating over there. But there's cheap people.
We should learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, so you're gonna get ripped off everywhere in the world. You're gonna have business problems everywhere in the world. You just have to manage them. I mean, and there's gonna be risk and there's gonna be reward. That's just part of business, and you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. That's the way the business is. There's no 100% fail safe that you're never gonna lose anything. But my opinion, my counsel would be get a good lawyer, such as yourself, and just help you navigate the local culture, the local people, and just minimize the risks as much as you can.
And one good thing which I saw you when you started your business, your first task was to employ the assistant who helped you to investigate the clients, to investigate the partners. So I think maybe one of the recommendations would be like to have a good lawyer and to have an assistant, or like what else you recommend to investors, like to start from, just to not be like frauded, cheated, like.
Well, try to find someone local that can speak your language, whatever that may be, and go. Maybe the first one isn't always the best, but try to find someone that can talk to your same language and understand your culture. So we found someone that actually studied in London and understands a lot of the business stuff and the economic stuff and the cultural stuff that we understand. So that helps out a lot because you don't have to explain twice what you need. But there's a lot of people out there. You just have to find them. Find yourself. Go through interviews, talk to people, contact your local embassy. That helps a lot because they live here and they know people. So you'll get a lot of helpful information. You'll get a lot of business tips. You'll get a lot of inside information. Get a good lawyer that also speaks your language, that understands you culturally, that is very connected also locally. That also is very important to help you navigate through the system. And then just move forward. I mean, there's nothing, there's no secret recipe. Nothing special. It's not rocket science. It's just business is business, and sometimes you're going to win and sometimes you're going to lose. But you have to just keep on moving forward, and not everything you do is going to be golden, but some are going to be good, and then you just discard that and move on to something else. If you don't have a set business that you're going to do, if you're an entrepreneur like me, it just depends what you want to do. So there's a lot of opportunities. Just got to figure out one and then move on that.
As far as I know, you have graduated MBA. Yeah? Mm-hmm. So do you recommend that to all businessmen? So what was the name of the school name?
I did my MBA at the University of Texas at Austin, UTA, Red McComb School of Business. It's one of the top 5 in the world. Basically, it's yes, I do recommend it. Actually, that's probably the best schooling I ever had in my life was the MBA. The reason why was the teachers that I had were just all really just awesome people, very, very smart business people, very smart politicians, very smart, and that just want to teach what their experiences in life. So MBA is basically experience-based. So what would you do if this happened? What would you do if in this situation? What would you do in that situation?
But did you graduate that? Have you graduated that when you've been before you started your business, or while you making your business, or after? And does it make sense to start your MBA when you already have a business? Because I've heard a lot of idea that people think that if you have grown your own business, nobody could teach you better than your business, so you don't need an MBA.
True, but then you're learning from the best companies in the world. So we have what's called the Harvard type teaching. So it teaches you what other smart people and other smart companies have done. So you cannot say that, oh, just because I grew my business out, I know more than GE. I know more than Microsoft. No, you don't. So you take the experiences from Microsoft, you take the experiences from GE, and you apply it to your company. So it always helps you. Yes, I think it does help you. I think it's better to actually have a few years experience in business or corporation or something. So I've always been an entrepreneur. I worked in corporate and telecom. So after doing telecom and starting a business, then I went to my master's degree, which helped me out a lot. And also the networking is really good too. So you meet a lot of interesting people that you'll grow with life, and you'll be friends with them forever. So
yeah, and it works it's very important. Also, as far as I know, your family in Mexico is also helping other people, like making a charity. So could you
yeah, so my family in Mexico and now in the U.S., we have a foundation called Teleton. Basically, it's what we help is right now the #1 place in the world to get help for kids for disabilities. For any type of disability that a kid has, there's one service area hospital that we have on every state. So any kid, and it's free, 100% free. So if the kid has walking disabilities, learning disabilities, some type of physical disability, so they can go here free of charge and get the help they need to be able to help their kids. Right now, we also launched the oncological for kids with cancer. So, and we just started doing it in the U.S. now. So I think it's in 2 states in the U.S. and we're in every state in Mexico. I think we're only a couple states left that we can do that. But we actually do a year-round fundraising, but we do 2 big fundraisings a year. One in December that's just coming up, where we raise probably almost 80-90% of the money that we need to manage everything for the kids. And I recommend, if you're here, then give back. So we give back. We have 2 foundations now that we're starting. One is to help the grandmothers here, because there's a big problem with the money they get, the pensions that they get. It's not enough. So we help when we have one fundraiser a year that we do in December, and we're going to do a couple other things with the local government to help out as much as we can.
Yeah, if you speak about medical service, I have a story with my clients from Great Britain. So they were so afraid from Ukrainian local medical service that the first time they visited my office, they told me like, can you help us with transporting us in the case of emergency to Great Britain for providing medical service. So they asked for like full medical insurance. So they were very afraid of Ukrainian medical service, and I think part of that theories were true. So because maybe you heard that one of the United States citizens have died even in Ukraine hospital. No, I did not. surprising you. Yeah. So, what is your experience with Ukrainian medical service? And if you're speaking about some problems of you residing in Ukraine, what else about of medical service? Or now maybe it's better developed. We have private clinics. So, what do you think so about?
We go to the private clinic, the American Medical Clinic. They speak all English there. They service pretty much almost all the foreigners.
Called American.
Yeah, AMC, American Medical Clinic, and they're growing everywhere.
Yeah.
But
so
I also
they have their level of United States medical service. Do they have proper equipment? Everything is.
They have proper equipment. They have really good staff. They're pretty much it's basically the same as in the U.S.
But 10 times cheaper.
Yeah, but no, it's not that cheap here, but it is cheap. It's not. The thing is, there's no. In the U.S., it's a whole system where there's a lot of problems with the medical system in the U.S. But it's in here. It's a pretty good system. I also went one time to a local to test it out, to see what it was like, and it's just fine. It's up. The language barrier is a problem, but other than that, I think the doctors here are very good. Like in everything, you're gonna have good and bad doctors, but if you find a private clinic, I think they're pretty good. So you'll be okay. I mean, there's not a big problem.
So medical service in Ukraine is good, and it's not a big problem for.
No, I don't think so. No, there's enough private clinics now where it's growing.
And do you think that medical insurance is way should Ukraine change? Like that we should take your experience, United States experience,
yes, but not the way it's done in the U.S. The way it's done in the U.S. is very bad.
Why?
Because the prices are all inflated. So the cost of actually doing stuff and the real cost it's a big difference. So sometimes it could be 15-20% more, 20 times more expensive for something that shouldn't cost that much. So, but that's the whole big problem with the insurance services in the U.S. There's a big problem.
Yeah, and also I've heard, I don't know if it's true, that to get some medical tests or to get to the doctor in Ukraine, you can get instantly. So you just make a call and you are going to the hospital. In the United States, it's not so accessible. Is it true?
Some part is yes. If you don't have insurance in the U.S., you're going to wait. You're going to be waiting in the waiting room for a while. But here it's pretty fast. So the experiences I've had personally have been pretty good, not bad at all. So but it's like, again, the whole insurance medical issue in the U.S. it's very different. So that's a whole systemic problem. So 80% of the budget in the U.S. that they spend goes to Medicare and Medicaid, which is helping the people in the U.S. So imagine that 80% of the budget that's spent in the U.S. is for health reasons.
Could not be true.
Yeah, so it's a big problem.
It could not be true.
Yeah, 80%.
Oh wow. Let's speak a few issues about. Let's speak about legal issues, because it's happened to me to be a lawyer and to be your lawyer. So if we are speaking about legal system of Mexico, United States, and Ukraine. So if we're comparing the effectiveness of judge system, of the lawyers, of the cost for the lawyers, and how much it costs in the United States, for example, per hour, in Mexico, in Ukraine, could you compare?
Yeah, so comparative in hours. So in the U.S. you can have a really good, in U.S. and Mexico you can have a really good lawyer, but good level, very high level.
Like not top 5. I'm not saying like about KPMG, Baker McKinsey, about just good lawyer.
So anywhere between $200 to $400 an hour in Mexico to U.S. Yeah, an hour.
And the same price in Mexico, in the United States. Why it's happened? Because Mexico should be cheaper.
A little bit cheaper, but once again, a good lawyer is a good lawyer. So you can get different prices, but the prices here that we've seen is probably 25%. Comparative to Ukraine in lawyers. There's also top level lawyers here that make like $300 an hour.
Yeah, but normally it's
but it's like a 25%, 20 to 30% of the cost of Mexico and US is Ukraine. So yeah. So if you're saying a lawyer in the US makes $400, he might make anywhere between $80 and $120 an hour for that type of level.
For the same type of of the lawyer. And we are speaking about legal system. So, for example, safety for investors. So, do you feel like when you're investing in Ukraine, do you feel safe, and do you feel protected by the country and by the government? And what do you recommend to other investors entering Ukraine market? So, what's the legal bureaucracy, legal procedures? So, are they effective or?
Yes. Well, I would recommend doing one thing is talking to your embassy, because your embassy will help you. So if we invest money in Ukraine, our embassies will help us if we have a problem. So if we have a problem where some type of like a politician or a political problem comes and they want to take whatever we have, or some gangster wants to come in and take them, all we have to do is call our embassy, and then they will help us sort it out. They talk to our level government, high level talks to their high level government, and it gets resolved. One story I remember was an Israeli, which I think you told me, the Israeli person that came here and was going to invest, and then he told them, and then they got. Did you tell me that story or not? The Israeli that was investing, or that was buying a farm or something like that for a few $1 million, and he was telling the farmer, and the farmer was telling everybody, and they had the. So that's so.
It was Israel guy, not the United States.
Yeah, Israeli.
He has Israel and the United States.
But it's the same thing. His embassy helped him out. So if you talk to your embassy will help you, and we'll talk at high levels. We'll talk with Ukraine at high levels, and you will get help. So rely on your embassy a lot here. That's one of the main issues I would say.
Okay, on the last things, I think I ask you to help me. To help me to discuss today. So may you say a few words about experience working with my company, and maybe some recommendations or whatever, like what or not recommendations, or whatever you can say about BK Partners, your experience.
Our experience with BK Partners was probably the first month we got here. We needed to get our legal documentation here for, well, we needed two things. We needed a legal corporation and we needed to be here legally. So
And real estate issues.
And real estate issues, yeah. So basically it was a couple things. So it's real estate issues that we started with, but it was forming a corporation and getting our legal documentation to be here legally, which is called posvitka. Yeah, so immigration services. So we found that with BK Partners, we had a very professional service. The staff that you have is very professional. They're very diligent. They know what they're talking about. And we got everything resolved very fast without any problem. We never had actually any issue with the immigration problem. And immigration issues, had no problems. The real estate is one thing that also we wanted to talk through, that we've been moving forward. And other legal issues that we've been going through that you've helped us out on. But the service that we got was very high level, very good, very professional, and very knowledgeable. They know what they're talking about. You know what you're talking about, and it's something that we recommend is to get a local lawyer that has ties and understands what they're doing.
Yeah. So thank you for coming to my office. Thank you for that interview, and I wish we can help you further in your business and help you more to invest in Ukraine and to build a good ecosystem, because I think the more United States citizens we have, it's the same situation like with Mexico. So the more United States influence we have, so you are our influence in a good side, in a good in the good direction, in the right direction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep on working with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.